All right, welcome to Wealth Cartel, where hindsight's a motherfucker.
Our mission is to stop people saying, I wish I had a listen, and to help people capitalise on everyone else's mistakes before making them themselves.
In summary, our tagline says it all: turn our hindsight into your foresight.
So we're just a couple of lads from the west and the central coast who grew up without really any wealth around us and used it to motivate us to make something of ourselves.
Along the way, mainly as we matured, we did a lot of things right, but more importantly, we made a lot of mistakes.
A lot of mistakes that could have been avoided by not being know-it-alls and actually listening to what others had told us instead of thinking, no, not me. So my name's Akko. I'm a small business owner with a bunch of franchises called Pen on Picasso at the moment, with large plans of building a large business portfolio.
I'm Kingy. I'm a financial advisor looking to break the mold on what good advice should look like and start teaching people how to enjoy life to the fullest while also planning for tomorrow out of my business, 3 Kings Wealth Management.
Down here at Bella Vista Hotel, guys. Bella Vista Hotel has got a podcast room set up here for everyone to use. It's a great spot, good little setup for us. Nice little backdrop as well, if anyone's seen the backdrop. So, yeah, if it looks familiar to you guys, this is Bella Vista Hotel. Get down.
Get down here. It's got great food, great drinks, great cocktails, a good little atmosphere, not just for the podcast. They come down for the podcast or come down for a feed and check the guys out. Thanks for supporting us.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the episode.
And we're on. All right, welcome to Wealth Cartel Podcast, episode 11, guys. Today we have Ginnen from Ginnen Sports Management and just the superstar manager all over. You know Zen from every main athlete or personnel in Australia and bringing the biggest names internationally over as well. His Instagram something to be admired with some of the names he's standing next to. So we're very proud to welcome Zen. Welcome to Wealth Cartel Podcast.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, a majority of those photos were all Photoshop. So, yeah.
Yeah, can you do that?
No, yeah, definitely had a crazy career. Still pretty much, I'd say we're getting started. As you know, we've sort of started from the music end and then transitioned in the sports world. So that's definitely been, an eye-opener for me once sort of getting into the whole sports management side, but loving it. Yeah.
Where's your biggest footprint at the moment? Which one across those three categories?
Well, it's always been music, but it started off with just being friends, I guess, with a lot of fighters in general. Mark Hunt, of course, was my first client, and it got to the point where he knew that the industry that I was in was in like entertainment. You know, we knew sponsorship, we knew contracts, we had the network. He kept on asking for favors. He kept on getting burnt by other managers and. I said, dude, stop asking for favors for so many years and let me just deal with it and handle it. So I started from then on. Been a good 10 years now. So, yeah, pretty stoked.
Yeah. Do you find, in regards, I mean, people who are at the top of the people that become musicians or people that become fighters or athletes or whatever, all of them have a similar mindset in the sense that it is what it is. They love what they love and they're never going to fail. Do you find that that's a common trait between all the people you manage?
100%. Like, I guess it's really the ones that come from, I guess, different parts of the neighborhood, of course, and they're sort of focused on sort of making something better of their lives. For example, a lot of the boys out from, Mount Druitt, there's the number of UFC fighters coming through there, of course, and then, a number of other fighters in Bellator. So, as well as, let's say, for example, the 1-4 boys done an amazing job in the hip hop scene, come from the same hood. So they've just got that drive to go to another level.
And then you can even push that over into what's happening out at the Panthers at the moment, the culture that's going on at the Panthers with those Mount Druitt boys at the moment. It's crazy, man, to follow that along. I'm a Roosters supporter, but I'm a Westie and I'm loving what's going on out there with those boys at the moment.
100%. So my nephew's Critter. So
he's the main culprit.
They love the Mountie bot.
Every try.
but this is the thing. I think they've also converted just people. Of course we have our number one team, and we've always supported them. But people are falling in love with their love of the sport, where they've come from. It's not all about the money to them. It's about the passion and the heart.
And what they're doing for the community is amazing. Like I grew up between Central Coast and West, and I'm a Para boy myself. Like I followed Para my whole life, but Penrith's always been my second team because of growing up out that way. And just the business, the economy, everything surrounding. Like Panthers has always been that hub, and it's been quite a good business. I know growing up, but lately, like you know, people always say Parramatta's the second city. Nah, crack
I
that off.
disagree
It's
too,
Penrith is now the second city. Like it is.
Yep.
It's great. We're looking to actually move out there, my wife and I, to grow our business and our life out there. It's a beautiful community. Like it's really
a juggernaut, man.
They've changed the game, man. They've changed the game.
We found that
Definitely.
pretty. I went and met a couple of the dudes, the founders of my brand. They're Penrith boys as well. Pino and Picasso, I'm involved with. And the dudes who are founders of that, they're Penrith boys. And when I went out there, like my accountant was Ben Carter. He's my accountant, and everyone that I met out there, like you got like Jake Farragher from NU, and then you've got the boy. Like there's so much business wise,
and they're supportive. We were just chatting about this on the way in, like. We said it, you know, out that way because obviously there's a big Polynesian, you know, influence out that way as well, and that family mentality, like the business as an economy, because everyone supports each other. You come out even this way or more east, everyone's in it for themselves a little bit, you know. But out there,
exactly. Well, that's what I meant by like a lot of them are sort of just doing it for the money. I guess they've lost the passion. What I like about this Penrith side is that the young guns, like there's not really like the oldest sort of, you know, star players. Like there's a couple of them, but there's not like stacked like a lot of these other NRL teams. You know what I mean?
It's all culture.
It's culture.
Yeah.
Like all those
culture,
boys
100% the culture.
or against each other at St Mary's, or it's
it reminds me of the Tigers team when they won. They said, you know, it's not a team of champions, but it's a champion team. Yeah. But I think the other thing is that these young guns at Penrith will become champion. Like they will become.
Jerome Luau is the best player in the comp at the moment.
Yeah, but.
Oh man, he's a gun. He's a gun. Like he just for what he does to the team, I think he just brings them up another level.
And
you know, he's that sort of player.
And I was looking, you know, Sully, who used to own Lions, where Ty, like I used to train out at Lions with Ty and Tyson and Arlene.
Yeah. That old Sully.
Sully posted. I've known Sully for some years, and he posted something the other day from over in the Middle East. He posted about Ivan Cleary, you know, because we were a part of that when Lions was going to take to the next level for the pre-season, looking after Panthers, and Ivan Cleary got the boot, and that pretty much ruined Sully. He obviously being the hustler he made something from it, went to overseas from it, but they put a lot into that, and it's a great story seeing him come back, and like it all just comes together to this culture, you know. They've all built it, and I love it. It's a Hollywood, you know, it's an Australian dream. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's bigger than footy, you know?
There needs to be a movie. There needs to be a movie on that.
100%. I think there will.
Well, let's just get through the final first, and then there needs to be a movie.
Yeah, but I mean, just on the West in general of late, the last 10 years growing up, it used to be, you know, the only real people that represented coming from Mount Druitt were the real people from there. A lot of people used to lie about where they were from or be ashamed of it. And what the 1-4 boys done, what they've done massively amongst this community in regards, you know, they do what they do and they say what they say, but they're leading by example in a sense. So yeah, all right, they have their little enemies or whatever they got, but they really are proud of where they come from, and they're teaching people that, you know, it doesn't matter where you're from as long as you're proud of it. And I was born in Lethbridge Park, but grew up in Blacktown, and I always represented that area. My mum always said, "Don't be ashamed of where you're from." But a lot of people that I knew, they look down on those areas, and now they're going, "Oh, it's cool to be from Mount Druitt."
Yeah, totally. I think, and Bam Bam, I think, played, you know, a bit of a role on that when he sort of played the big stage of repping the FTA. You know, it's you know, it's awesome to see that the world can embrace it as well. So people start going, oh, you know, what's all these you know, hand signs about, and you know, the FTA about, and this is media globally. So it's for him to do that, and then amazing, you know, I guess 1-4. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing. When I left the army, like, so I grew up Central Coast and out Mount Druitt. Dad grew up I grew up between Edmonton and the Central Coast, and pretty much Woo, which is Mount Druitt on the beach. But I grew up between those two as a kid, and I was all, like, I didn't know what the big fuss was. People used to look down on it, but I grew up with some great people with some great values. You know, everyone looked out for each other and everything. And when I left the army and came back to the corporate world and started in finance, I'm a financial planner. And when we looked out, I started working towards these, thinking, you know, I got to go to where the money is. Mate, I hated it. I couldn't stand the people that I worked with. Like, it was just, even though they had heaps of money, I hated it. And now, so I've drifted back out west, and I'm in the process of creating this thing called Westside Wealth Group. Not because of anything to do with money, just being able to work with those kind of people. They're great people. Like, they're the most supportive clients. They'll do what you tell them to do. They're not afraid of hard work. Like, it's just a really good culture. I think the work is come back to culture that.
Definitely.
If you speak to people in the building industry, I'm from the building industry. If you speak to people in the building industry, they will, and I'll swear by this. I will guarantee you that you get paid more quicker, and you're more likely to get paid from somewhere out west than going and doing a monster in Bondi.
Really? Wow.
It's the same
100%,
thing.
man. They don't want to pay.
They hate debts.
They're so They're like
Out west, they hate the tip.
I want the brand new bathroom, but fuck you. You're from the west. You don't deserve the money you deserve.
Yeah. Would you say that the principle means more out west as well? More on a handshake rather than a 10-page contract? It doesn't really mean much.
Your word. It's out west. It's your word. Your word is your bond. Out east, it's how can I stiff you? What can I do to stiff you?
When you grow up, I think too, when you grow up and you're watching, you're middle class and you're watching, your mum go to work and your dad go to work, and sometimes, I had to babysit my sisters because they were both at work at the same time, or the fundamentals of what it took to just get by. You learn from that, I think, and not to say there's not hardship out east. I do understand there's people out there that do it tough as well, but I know for a fact with me, my work and my drive comes from the fact that I knew life wasn't easy. Whereas I feel like out there, it's like stuff is handed to you.
But you were held more accountable out there too. Like growing up, like if you didn't stick to your word, you cop a flogging. Even as a kid, like you would, and there was more consequences. You're not
allowed to say that now. Docs will show up.
Yeah, I know, but you're like if you promised someone something and you didn't do it, then there was consequences, right? And it was all acceptable. Where that way, like when I started working that way in the money, it was the contracts. Your consequence was a contract, or was it was a legal thing. Where out that way, it was we don't care. It was you don't stick to your word, and you became held towards your word because otherwise, that was the consequences. And I think as you get people can have their own view on it, but it's that culture that's created is an more honest culture, a more stand-up culture that I love to be a part of. And Panthers is just, those boys out there are doing something phenomenal, especially for their age, especially for how they're changing that community for their age,
Fucking kids.
Definitely. Like, it's amazing to see, a lot of these boys, are sort of giving back to the community as well, rather than sort of like, getting these big contracts and going, see you later. I'm off to Gold Coast, or I'm off to fucking, some other team.
The party town. So we might move forward with the agenda here. What tell us a bit about you, Zen. So where did you grow up? What was life like growing up for yourself? As much as you want to share, or as little as you want to share. Get to where you are now.
Yeah. So I was born and raised Auckland, New Zealand. Sort of started off there. I guess my career as pretty much just working for other promoters. Funny enough, I think this is where me and Mark sort of linked up, was that I used to work for his old manager, and we sort of crossed paths later on, and then we sort of connected from there. Mark was like, "Hey, my old manager owes me money." I was like, "Hey, that same guy owes me money as well," and then that's where it went on from there on.
I don't know Mark no money.
Fuck that.
Exactly. That's why I was just surprised.
You saw the opportunities then, didn't you? You said, "Let's get him." You lead horse. You go first.
Yeah. So, but it started off more in the music world. We did a lot of shows in New Zealand. I worked for a number of promoters, doing fight promotions such as K1, and then also concerts. So I pretty much started doing them probably around sort of early 2000, and then sort of wanted to expand. So I actually moved to Sydney around 2005, I believe. Did about 5 years, started doing, a lot of club nights and small sort of concerts, and then sort of grew from then on. Then I wanted to expand into...
What were you involved with?
Sorry?
What sort of concerts and club nights and stuff did you do then? What were they?
A number of clubs. We used to run... Yes, I know Corinne and the guys from Red Room. I know Chatty, good old Chatty, the owner. So we've done some stuff in the past. But I and also, funny enough, probably won't mention a lot of the names, but for a lot of clubs in the King's Cross. So, good old Cross back in the day. And then just sort of got over the club scene. Got over the club scene because when you're doing nights from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You remember Sapphire on Sundays, Dragonfly on Saturdays.
Dragonfly was
Good Bar. I used to do Good Bar on Fridays. I used to do the Eastern and Bondi Junction on a Thursday. Like it was, I was living like a fucking rock star, and just like an idiot, young, when you're making a bit of money. Of course, when you're sort of in your early 20s and you're making about 5-10 grand a night or a weekend, you're feeling like a rock star, but you're not putting it away. You know, you're just spending it like an idiot. And then it took me a while to come to my senses and sort of realize, what am I doing? You know, the party life is not really for me. That, you know, and then I started moving into more of the music promotional world.
That's a really good point. I want to jump on. I want to jump on there quickly. So first of all, what I want to know is, and this is a question I've had for you myself before this come, but what, like, I think the caliber of people that you've interacted with, worked with, is phenomenal. Like people need to understand, like, it's massive. I want to know, first and foremost, what mindset and what were the traits, or what did you do to get your foot in the door in those things? And then secondly, talking about the money stuff. So tell us a bit about that, and then tell us a bit about what shifted your mindset and around, you know, the party lifestyle to going, shit, this ain't for me, I need to do something. What were the mindset and traits that did those two things?
Probably waking
Well, the mindset for the partying side is when you're waking up 2 days later going, what the fuck?
I fucking told you.
Whoa, what happened just then? Fuck, you know, everyone goes through that whole period.
Not
you
stuff
know,
when I wake up at the Eastern.
yeah, exactly. You're waking up in someone's house going, how the fuck did I get here? And it's like, you know, you thought you were partying on Sunday, but it's a Wednesday when you're waking up. So, you know, everyone has those sort of moments. I actually think it's, I wouldn't say it's a positive or an upside to it, but I think you experience it young rather than later. This is what I've seen a downfall for a lot of older guys that haven't really. What's that?
If you can get through it, some people don't get through it. You know, you got to have that.
Yeah, exactly. So 100%. Like, I think as a young buck, you know, it's you know, it was good for me to sort of experience it and get over it. Like, it wasn't such a buzz as you sort of get older and more mature. You know what I mean? Yeah. Of course, we like to sort of have a little night out here and there, but not as we used to back in our early teens.
He fucking doesn't. He doesn't even go to his friends' birthday parties anymore.
Oh, wow.
He's like, fuck that. I go, I know what's going to happen. I'm just not going. I said, bro, you can't do that.
I've got to accept I'm going for 3 weeks, or I don't go at all. There's no...
Yeah.
We're having this argument at the moment. Zach, because I'm like, I'm in the stage too. I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. Unless there's a reason to really do it, I don't really want to party.
Exactly. But this is the thing. Like, we used to celebrate like we fucking won the finals of something. You know what I mean?
On a Wednesday.
You know, we're partying like we just won the lottery, but it was just fucking payday at the end of the day, you know, and spend our whole pay. You know exactly the mindset when we're at that young age. And that's when you sort of got to start figuring out, going, okay, I've made this much over the past year. Then you look at your savings, it's like, oh, fuck. Okay, we need to change.
What did I actually get from? Was the happiness, was the experience, you know, worth what I've spent? Could I've done, you know? They find that balance, you know?
Yeah, because I think when you do sort of hit a I guess a roadblock, or, you know, a bit of a dip in your, I guess, over your career, and then you realize, oh shit, are those friends still around me? You know, are the people that I was trying to sort of party with, are they actually there because for certain reasons? Was it just the money? You know, was it because of that lifestyle that you
were you trying to impress them a little bit? You know, like, was it for you or for them? It's
exactly. You know,
I think we've both had that exact sort of thing happen. You know, I've lost lots of friends over the years, not because I don't like them or don't love them anymore or anything to it. Just I look at them and I think, you know, I just don't remember a time where we weren't together when we were doing the wrong shit. And, you know, like with kids and that now, I want to be surrounded by people that want to be around me for me and who I am as at my best, as opposed
and
to...
just uplift you. Yeah. Like, if you're around certain people, they need to lift you at the same time you're lifting them. I think that's key.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. That's a big thing. I think for anyone I've met in the last sort of since we've been doing this podcast, they've all got real similar thought processes around, and it's a simple thing. You can read it in many books, you know, or surround yourself with good people. But until you start understanding what that actually is and who that means, it's a real hard thing. And that doesn't mean you think less of the old people you used to be friends with. It just means that there's a time in your life where it's time to knuckle down and worry about you. And once that time comes, certain people drop off without you even having to say a word, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's been a good sort of learning experience for me, because it's, you know, as an athlete or a lot of my clients at a young age, it's for me to use that experience to sort of hopefully guide them on a path where they don't experience that. You know, unfortunately, they're always going to have certain people, once they sort of start hitting those big contracts, So all of a sudden, shit, you got double the friends that you had a couple of days ago.
And the family members.
All of a sudden, you've got an
third
uncle,
cousins,
you've got
third
10 uncles
cousins
from the
twice
middle of
removed.
nowhere.
Yeah, hey, bro, we're related. I'm sure we're related.
I'm my twin. We've got the same dad.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, and it's unfortunate. It does happen. But at the same time, you sort of got to do your best to sort of protect them in every way possible. You know, some of my guys just have big hearts, you know, and sometimes they're giving out, you know, too much than that they should.
And you got to use that. I use that too when I've worked with a few athletes and stuff as well, and big, especially just big money earners in general. Is I always use that thing. If you're on a plane, you got to put your mask on first, you know. And that's probably the biggest thing that a lot of them fail with is they start handing out. And I say we can do that, but you've got to look after yourself first. Make sure you're sorted. Because if you're not sorted, who's going to look after them long term? You know. So yeah, I think that's a big lesson a lot of them learn and have to learn early. Is it's all right to help people, but you got to help yourself first.
I think too.
100%.
When you say you're working with is like high level athletes, high level music people, you know, you're working with high level entrepreneurs that are owning nightclubs, and you're talking these types of people generally get to a stage in their life. I know I'm getting there now, and I'm nowhere near there, but you get to a stage in your life where you start thinking, I'm quite well off compared to a lot of people. I've worked my ass off, but there's no point having all this or doing all this if I can't give back. And I think that there's like a fine line between giving back
and sinking the ship.
And I think I'm learning that now. I did that with a lot of my mates. Not even so much mates, just anyone like trying to help and do this and do that. And then you get to a stage where I'm looking at I'm telling my wife, listen, you can't spend $200 on that, but I'll give that person $1,000 because they're struggling. I'm thinking that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why shouldn't we get that and then be able to help out? You know, and I think I see a lot of that with footy players. I went to school with George Tafu. I went to Hill Sports, and
nice.
Georgie. I read a story about him. He was always a real good kid. Like growing up, he was always a really good kid. You know, and his mum got really sick, and he would hand his entire wage to his mum, and be paid money as if, you know, so his family could eat. And I just thought that if you're going to give back, that's how you give back, not to these other people, strugglers that are coming around, you know, that haven't been there for, like, they haven't sat with you through the hard times. I just don't agree.
Exactly. I think, and that's a matter of, that's where I guess giving back, I guess, to the people that help you sort of get there is crucial, rather than the ones that have just popped up all of a sudden when you're at the top of the world. But it's also, and this is the thing, you've got to remember the people that sort of helped you sort of get to that place where you were. That's I think that's priority.
And I think I was speaking to you about it, Zen. Like this is something I'm very passionate about. You know, I work with, so we had Beaver on here. So Beaver's a mate of mine, Steve Menzies, and talking with Matty Ballon. We're working with the Manly Sea Eagles, what we do and stuff as well. And I was, you know, I know you and Reece Douchin from August Sports. I know you guys were, you know, him as well. And I was working with him with a couple of fighters for a bit as well. And one of the things I was trying to work on was this, because every finance guy that walks into these athletes is like, I can make you heaps of money because there's money in it for them, right? And that's the big thing. What I was trying to work on is going, well, fuck, stop talking to these people who can think they can make heaps of money. Let's focus on managing it properly first, because that was a big problem. Is a lot of these athletes and superstars, and it's one reason we wanted you on here is because you'd be a great insight, because not only your own experience but all your clients, right, as well, is they just think, they don't see that it's not a never-ending source. Like, it's more of an opportunity than a long-term thing, and they give away. They start. I'm all for people helping people. They do it at the start in a way as if it's going to be there forever, without making sure first and foremost that it is going to be there forever. You know, the first thing they should be doing is making sure it's sustainable, and then work on the giving plan from there. But they all do it backwards, and then we see these NRL players getting, you know, retired early, and then they've got to go back to a job, concreting or whatever. Like, it's a crazy bit of education that needs to sort of go through that industry, I think, you know.
100%. And this is why I try and enforce it to a lot of my clients. Of course, they've got to sort of build their brand. When it comes to clients, I see it as more of a business partnership, like comparison to a lot of management companies and agencies out there. Purely, it's like, hey, here's your flight contract, done. I'll talk to you next year. Me, like, I like to sort of do certain projects together, find endorsements, sponsorships, even just business deals, trying to utilize your brand, your social media, your fan base, and create a business out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
And moving forward.
That's I love it. I think
while you're still on the spotlight, while you're still on the big stage, because if you do it, let's say 10 years later, when you're going, oh shit, I should have done like a, you know, a merch line, or talking about certain other projects that could utilize the platform and using, let's say, the organization platform. That's key.
A great example of that is Drink West with Tyson and Ty. Like
Tyson and Bam. Like it's amazing. Fits I guess the personalities. And this is one key thing when I sit down with a client, I try and understand their personality, what their interests are. Of course, if it's they had interest in, so whether it's drinking, gaming, clothing, fashion, whatever, then I try and sort of nurture that into sort of ongoing within their career.
It's simple diversification, hey, like diversification and risk mitigation from the start. It's like in that way, it's key. Yeah. It's so key.
Yeah, you got to understand too. Like coming up, like you're a pretty intelligent dude, and like I can tell that, like growing up and with the people around you, with these dudes, they never thought. From my point of view, say Ty, for example, right? Ty would have always known he was going to blue because he was just banged for his whole life when he was a kid. But he never would have dreamed at 13 years old he could be on the world stage at the UFC, let alone own a beer company. And I think that there is to be nurtured. And I feel like that's where I can see with what you're saying and what you're doing is that's where you go, listen, guys, this is the opportunity you've got. Whereas I know for a fact, certain people that come out I find myself sometimes, looking around thinking, fuck, how did I get here? Like, how did I manage where I was? Because at 16, I just thought there was a couple of ways out. You know what I mean? I just was going to end up locked up.
But who said it? Someone said it on a podcast perfectly. That's where one of the best things to learn, that like rather than try and teach everyone the world, right? Learn what don't you know. Once you realize what don't I know, and then surround yourself with the people that can help. Like you said it with Mark. Mark was trying to ask for favors and using other managers. We always say, a good professional can be expensive, but not as expensive as a shit one. Like that's.
Totally.
And I think one of the education pieces is just getting these young, like one of the things we're trying to pass on is the two things that's coming across our podcast is learn what you don't know. As soon as you know what you don't know, start looking at how you can, people that do know that shit well. And secondly, be conscious of that stuff. Be conscious of all your decisions and be conscious of what you don't know so that you can progress and get there faster rather than trying to slog it out,
Yeah, 100%. It's, I guess for a lot of these guys, it's also finding their passion because, of course, let's say, for example, if I found something that, Mark wasn't into, but, and I said, look, there's potential money in it. And he was just like, I can't be doing it every day or promoting every day. Then it's not really going to work, Like if I said, oh, Mark, I'm going to make you a model. Maybe, he probably won't enjoy it as much. But Tyson on the other hand, Tyson on the other hand, he's got a pretty face, he loves the cameras, and he actually understands fashion than a lot of other guys as well. He's got the look, he's got the gift of the gab on that sense. So we utilize that, we get him campaigns, which is great at,
Nah, Johnny Big.
Nah, Tyson did one.
No, it was Tara Cash for Tyson.
Oh.
Tyson, yeah.
Tyson, sorry.
Tyson did one with Tara Cash. I've seen it. I think he worked with Zalesniak too with the watches. He's pretty good. Like I see all of his stuff come up. He markets real well organically. Like he's real good.
Yeah, he's great at those, those campaigns. But then, like even with Mark, it's like I knew that he had an amazing story. I don't know if you've ever read his book, but it was like we did massive numbers. It was a hit for us. His biography is still one of the best biographies from a lot of, I guess, certain critics, sport biographies. As a fighter, he has an amazing story. So I thought, why don't we put this out a few years ago? And it's opened up a lot more doors for us and sort of built his brand, because as a fighter, for your common person, they're just going to go, oh, he's that sort of angry fighter guy that, we don't really want to deal with. But then when you read the story, there's a connection, right?
Yeah,
holy shit.
I want to read that. I just joined up at Livewell, where he runs Juggernaut out of.
Actually. Oh, nice. So yeah, cool.
I just signed up there and been training there, and I learned a bit more about him just from there when I signed up and talking to the guys there and stuff, and I started following him a bit more. And I just come across that book about a week ago. I really want to read it actually.
I actually watched.
Yeah, let me know if you need a copy. So you've already got a book. If you need more copies, I'll send some out to you. But it's an amazing story. We're currently finished or finalising the doco, which is around the sort of same storyline.
I'll take one, Zen.
Sorry?
Send it. We'll send you one back. I'll take one of them.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. And then,
Want it?
you know, the story is it's an amazing story. The doco, I think, should have more sort of explain it as, you know, I guess in a better way, because it's going to be more visual. And then, you know, there's a number of options to try and make a movie out of it. So, you know,
people don't like. I've followed as a fighter. I followed Mark for a while. I didn't, but I've only recently known his story. Like, because he's like, I just love following him on Instagram because he's so on the coast. He's like he does a lot with the Fafitas and stuff. And I grew up with the Fafitas' younger brothers up on the coast, so I see a lot of that as well. And the people don't realize the lengthy career that Mark had before UFC. People think it's Mark UFC, but he's like, that was like the end of his fight career. Like he did so much before that, and there was such a big stuff there that he's got. I'm really keen to roll. I'll 100% read that.
I watched.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. A lot of people didn't realize, you know, the whole previous career. As you said, that was more sort of the back end of his career fighting in the UFC. Of course,
knockout walk
you know,
off.
the lead horse is not finished. Apparently, he's supposed to be fighting Paul Gallen, which we're still waiting on.
You reckon he'll get
so
it?
that'd be really interesting. Sorry?
Do you reckon he'll get that? Do you reckon they'll get that for? Fuck, I'll tell you what.
It's a done deal, but we're just waiting on a final date. So yeah,
what is Gallen thinking, man? What the fuck? You don't walk out of that fight.
We had the same reaction. We thought, like I said to Mark, I said, "Oh, Paul wants to fight," and he was like, "What?" Yeah, well, I thought we were buddies, but then apparently not. So, you know, I think it was just more for the sport. I think Paul.
We'll have a crack.
I'll tell you what,
we'll have a crack.
It's good for Paul's career. Like, it's fucking, you know, you go in, mate. I'll tell you what. I'll give him that. Paul Gallen, he has a crack. He has a. You can't fucking falter him in that. But fuck that. Fuck that.